Hi, it's Val with an update on my misery dollhouse. I know it's been a while, but I was caught up in the holidays, and it's also my son's birthday during that period, so it was a lot. But I'm finally back with this project, and I'm happy to be back, and things are slowly taking place, so it's exciting. But before starting, I would like to remind you of what we have already done. Earlier, we planned out our project. We built the foundation of the first floor. We worked a little bit on the stairs, and we also made all the wooden floors of the house. So today what I want to do is work on the walls of the hallway. At first I wanted to include furniture in this video, but it was too much. I changed my mind because those walls took me forever to make, and I wanted to post a video as soon as possible, so I will keep that for my next video. Today it's all about walls, and you are going to understand why it took me so long. Just for that hallway, I needed to work on 7 different panels, and all those panels have a lot of details. Let me show you some screenshots of the movie so you have a better idea of what I'm talking about. As you can see, the top half of the wall is made of wallpaper, and the other half is... I don't really know what that is. It's like vinyl with a lot of texture. We can see some flower designs on it. It's interesting. It's not something we often see. And in between those two parts, there's molding. So this is how we left the hallway the last time. It's a tiny space with 7 walls in total. I decided to start with that part of the house because I know I will get better as we move on with the project, and I wanted to be prepared for the other rooms. I will also make the basement door in this video. The first thing I did was make wall templates, a little bit like I did with the floors, using small pieces of paper and masking tape. So, to make sure it was staying in place, I put blue tape on the foam board and floor. Blue tape is easily removable without causing any damage, so it was perfect for that. To be honest, that process was a pain. Later on, I realized I should have used colorful paper because the way I did it, it was hard to know if the wall was completely covered. This particular one was something. So these are my 7 templates. I went to the dollar store and came back with big cardboards, just like this. Since I'm going to work with paper to create those walls, I thought it would be a good support. And also I thought it would be big enough for my biggest wall, but it was not. I was trying to find a way to make it fit, but it was slightly too long, so I needed to cut it in 2. Then I copied my templates on this cardboard and cut them off. Finally, I carefully identified each of them to know where they were going. I then drew a line to divide my walls in 2. The upper part represents the section where there will be wallpaper, and before doing it on the longest wall, I first connected the 2 parts together with a piece of masking tape. Now let's take a look at the wallpaper in the movie. As you can see, it's a very simple wallpaper. It's only made of stripes, pink and blue stripes. And if you look at it closely, you can see tiny stripes between the blue ones. Those stripes are the same color as the big pink ones. At first, I thought of using scrapbook papers. One of those pads was vintage. And let's say the truth, this house is the perfect candidate for that. But none of the designs were what I was looking for. Another pad was especially made for miniatures, but I saw no stripes at all. Nothing was fitting, so I had no other choice. I had to do the wallpaper myself. I said that I had no other choice, but in reality I love that. I think it's gonna make my house even more special. So I created my wallpaper in Photoshop. My project was 8.5 by 11 inches, the same size as a sheet of paper. I used a screenshot to help me figure out the colors I needed. I played a little bit around until I got the result I was looking for. I also added the tiny stripes. And when I was satisfied, I just duplicate those elements. I went to the store and printed a few of these on poster boards. The color was slightly different when printed, but it was still okay. I was ready to glue the wallpaper to my panels. With a pencil, I gently copied the section I needed to cut. To glue the wallpaper, I used Mod Podge, a coat underneath and on top. Mod Podge is not only a glue, it's also a varnish, so it will protect your project. A few times as I was working on the house, I touched the walls with my paintbrush. With a tissue, I swipe it off, and because of the Mod Podge, it went away without leaving a trace. But it was leaving something else. Bombs! The longest wall was the worst. Air bubbles everywhere. I looked online and it's a common issue in the miniature world. Everybody struggles with bumpy walls, and Mod Podge is well known to cause that in the community. It's frustrating. I will have to take a closer look at that. If you have tips, please let me know in the comments. It was now time to work on the second part of the wall, the vinyl part. It was challenging to figure out how I was going to reproduce that effect. When I look at that, I see texture and flowers. I cannot do a flower texture, but I can do something else. Something different but similar. Something that has the same feel. Some of the walls are completely covered with that vinyl. The staircase walls, and even the door that leads to the basement. It's a sort of camouflage. For the texture, I used those white tissues, used for wrapping gifts. And also, my favorite product of all, Mod Podge. What I did was pretty simple. I applied Mod Podge on my panel and I covered it with crumpled tissue. I then applied Mod Podge again, and once again I put another piece of crumpled paper on top. I did that until I got the result I wanted. For that process, I used glossy Mod Podge to really give a plastified effect to my vinyl. And when it was dry, I cut the excess. It almost looks like litter. I did that with all my pieces. I don't know if you remember, but when I did the foundation, I kept all the doors and windows. So I took the door of the basement and gave it the same treatment. When I was done, I applied 2 coats of the same paint I used for the stairs. This is with 2 coats. It looks nice, we have a texture. Now what we are missing is flowers. So I looked online and I found that template. I love it. I think it fits well with the house, so I just went with that. I started by protecting my wallpaper because playing with paint that close to it was pretty scary. I made sure not to move and I gently applied my paint without pressing too hard. As soon as I was done with a panel, I put a coat of Mod Podge over it to protect my paint job but also to give it more shine. Slowly, I was able to start gluing walls in my hallway. For that, I used a mix of wood glue and hot glue. Hot glue holds my piece in place right away, and wood glue is very good and very strong over time. Let's go back to the door now. If you remember correctly, I wanted the door of the basement to be slightly open, revealing a dark area. To achieve that, I cut a piece of cardboard the same height as my door. I marked the middle and I gently followed that line using my cutter. Now I was able to fold it properly. I'm gonna use that to be able to open the door. Once it was treated and glued, I gave my door more depth. Now the boring part. How I made the moldings. It's easy. All I did was take cereal boxes, open them, cut them, sand them, double them, and wait for them to dry. Now that I had super strong cardboards, I was ready to take some measurements. I treated all the moldings the same. 2 coats of paint, 1 coat of Mod Podge. Since it's very skinny, I use a wooden stick to help me apply the glue. And again, I use wood glue. To prevent it from lifting, I put 1 to 3 blocks on top. And with a clean stick, I made sure to remove all the excess of glue. For the long moldings, it's kind of the same process. I cut 2 different sizes of cardboards that I merged together to create a molding. To glue them, I use wood glue. I finish with 2 coats of paint and 1 of Mod Podge. I wanted to take some time to thank you all for your support in my last video. I was not very happy with the floors I made because of the bumps, but a lot of you reassured me some floors were like that in real life. I just didn't know that, so it was nice to read it. Sometimes this project can be a little bit overwhelming, so having your support motivates me to continue. And I'm very satisfied with that door, by the way. Slowly, I was gluing walls in place. When I came to that piece, most of the bumps were gone. I put a lot of heavy books on top prior to that, so I was super happy about it. Except when I glued it in the house. Even more bumps started to appear. It was just a complete disaster. So this is how it looks. The wallpaper really looks like in the movie. I love the texture on the wall. Overall, I'm satisfied. I'm just not happy about the bumps. Yes, once again, more bumps. But it's okay. I'm just ready to move on and work on furniture. And that's what we are going to do in the next episode. Tiny tables and lamps. We are going to have fun, I can tell. Let me know what you think about the hallway. If you have tips, I'm all about it. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.